Hello everyone and welcome back. This is my reaction, response, thoughts about The Witcher episode 4. I really enjoyed this episode. This was my favorite one by far. Pretty much a 10 out of 10. I can't really think why I would deduct a point in this episode at all. Yeah, let's just go with that. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Again, we have the three storylines of Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri happening separately, and possibly in different timelines. And the main focus of this episode I really enjoy. It's about Geralt, the Witcher. And you know, he's a man of few words, but in this episode he's taken to an environment that he's not comfortable in. It's a royal banquet for the marriage of Princess Pavetta, Queen Calanthe's daughter. You see, I'm checking my notes here for their names to make sure I got it right, because I'm a professional. Anyways, this dynamic with the Witcher at this royal banquet is really funny. It had me laughing quite a few times. You can see he's uncomfortable and he doesn't like these politicking nobles. He's just there because he has to, because he owes a favor to his friend, the Bard. And that's another kind of funny thing, because you see the Bard referring to them as being friends, and Geralt's like, we're not friends. Oh, my microphone is like rising up in the air. That's weird. Go back down. Anyway, you can see Geralt, the Witcher, is trying to keep other people at an arm's distance. He doesn't want to be too close to people. What the heck? Stay down. Okay, still working? Yeah. As I was saying, the Witcher is trying to keep people at an arm's distance to kind of, I don't know, protect them, protect himself. But then you see his actions are that he's actually doing this guy a favor. He's going to the banquet to help protect this bard. And that actually reminds me of one of the Aesop's fables I was reading before, where it says, pay attention to people's actions, not their words. Normally you would take that advice to mean like if someone's saying nice things to you, but they really do bad things, then you should realize they're not your friend. But in this case, it's actually the opposite, because the Witcher is saying negative things like, I'm not your friend, I drink alone, but his actions show that he's actually a good guy and he cares. So anyway, I enjoyed this whole royal ball banquet scene. The whole thing was just really great. 10 out of 10 TV. And it's also funny how from episode to episode you can get a totally different feel on The Witcher. Like the previous episode with the Striga monster, it was kind of like Sherlock Holmes, you know, solving the mystery of exactly how everything happened. But this episode 4 felt totally different. And I really enjoy that variety. In fact, immediately after watching episode 4, I wanted to binge. I wanted to just watch the next episode right away. But I stopped because I gotta make this review and have a fresh reaction for the next video. And also it was 6 a.m., so time to go to bed. Alright, so moving on. Queen Calanthe, or is it Calanthe? Comment below. I'll just call her the Queen, okay? So the Queen, why is she such a royal jerk? Like, I just don't get it. She's terrible. You know, in the first episode when I saw her and she ends up dying and everything, I kind of did not like her. I had this, like, bad feeling about her. It just didn't care for her. But in this episode, at least you're kind of understanding why. You're given a reason. You understand that she's a total not nice person. Gotta keep it family friendly on here. Anyway, she's just terrible to pretty much everyone throughout the entire episode. And why does she find it necessary to so publicly humiliate this suitor from Nilfgaard? You know, she's just calling out his city, saying it's a terrible place with terrible people, saying horrible things. And then you see that Nilfgaard's suitor just kind of storm off and leave. And you understand why Nilfgaard ends up attacking them in the first episode. At least I'm assuming that's the reason why. But I kind of felt like I would have liked a little more justification for her behavior. So if you're familiar with the books or the video game, please comment below. Is there some reason that she's being so nasty to the Nilfgaard suitor? Or is she just kind of like that? Now for the law of surprise concept, I thought that was very clever. I like how they introduced that and told it. To me, it made sense. I got it. Again, I have the captions on always and I'm paying very careful attention. I did do some Googling after watching it and I read that Prince Dunny's reveal of his hedgehog head, that I guess in the books the queen had tricked him by like having her people in the castle make this fake sound of the clock striking midnight, so he would take off his helmet like before he was ready and then show his hedgehog face. But in the TV show, you just have Ice go over there and like take his helmet off. And I have to say I like the book's way of doing it better, where she tricked him into taking his own helmet off. It's more clever. And another thing about the queen, she's very deceptive and weaselly. You know, she's supposed to respect this law of surprise. And even after the Witcher and her boyfriend Ice have jumped in to protect Prince Dunny, the queen comes up to him like she's gonna give him a hug or something, and she's like, this is your destiny. And she's gonna stab him in the throat. You know, my impression of the queen just keeps going from here to here to here to I really don't care for her. And then Princess Pavetta summons this energy tornado that's like swirling around the whole courtroom and pressing everyone against the walls. And I was a little bit confused when I watched the show. If I were to have one complaint, I guess that would be it for this episode. I was thinking, why is she doing it so long? Okay, like, she pushed everyone away, and she and her lover are there in the middle of this tornado, and they're safe, and they're like looking at each other and holding each other's arms, and they're just enjoying this beautiful moment together. And then I guess I start to get the impression that she's lost control when I see Geralt is like drinking his magic potion and trying to stop it. Somehow when I saw her expression and the expression of Prince Dunny right next to her, they're just kind of looking into each other's eyes like they're having a nice moment. She doesn't look like she's like out of control or going crazy. She's just like... Anyways, I want to hear your comments. Please leave a comment below and let me know, was that confusing to you at all, or am I just a little off on that scene? Alright, now let's go to the Yennefer storyline. Also really cool. You have this awesome fight scene with a mage assassin, and the best thing about him, he's got this cool flying dagger. Come on, who doesn't love a flying dagger?
Meet your destiny.
Yes! And that reminds me, wasn't there an older movie with another kind of flying dagger thing? No, not that far back. I'm talking about...
To fight evil.
Yes, anyone remember this movie? I loved it as a kid. The Shadow from 1994. Actually, it was very hard to Google this one. I kept typing Flying Dagger and finding some other movie called Flying Dagger. That's life. So anyway, I particularly enjoyed this scene. The mage seems really deadly and dark and cool. I very much like the way they portrayed him. And it was also cool he had a little servant creature to do most of the work for him, so he could just kind of stand there most of the time, looking badass. You know, it actually kind of made me think about bounty hunters from Star Wars. You had this side character, this Boba Fett, who became really popular with the fans, and then now we have the Mandalorian. Maybe they'll do something like that with this mage and his flying dagger. Smash like! And one small quibble, if I were to make a complaint, about this scene where Yennefer and the Queen are in the carriage and all these swords start poking in, you know, they're being attacked. And then later we see it was this assassin mage who was attacking them. So where were all those swords coming from? From that spider creature on the ground? No, they look like swords from the soldiers. So I was thinking, why would the soldiers be stabbing into the carriage unless when they're fighting the creature, it was just always like, oh, you know, like trying to fight him and then, like accidentally stabbing behind themselves into the carriage? Is that what we're supposed to believe? Help me out here in the comments below. Anyway, that's just a small quibble. Fast forward to Yennefer, she teleports, she rescued the little baby, and it died on the beach with her. Yes, that was a very sad image and a very sad end to her story part of this episode, but I have to say that I kind of like that they didn't make it like a Disney-esque fairy tale ending. To me, sometimes in the movies, when everyone's just perfectly safe and happy and all the good people have good things happen to them, it's just a little too much. It's annoying, it feels unrealistic. Because you know, in the real world, good things happen and bad things happen. They both happen. So for me, it was actually a little refreshing to see this dead baby in this episode. Oh geez, that sounds terrible. Someone's gonna hate me for saying that in the comments, I'm sure. But just what it represents, the fact that they were able to show some kind of more grisly reality, I feel like it makes this show more engaging and interesting to watch because you really don't know what to expect. Oh, and about this fight scene with Yennefer and the Dark Mage, that was cool. They're teleporting around from scene to scene. I kind of wish that we'd seen a little bit more offensive magic from Yennefer. You know, before she like shot that lightning bolt and I thought that looked super cool idea. But in this one, she's just kind of portaling and running away most of the time. It's all very defensive, but I guess it makes sense because she and the Queen were ambushed. It was a surprise. She was just scrambling to try to protect. She was also like preoccupied, you know, with protecting this queen and the baby. So that took some of her attention away. So I guess it makes sense. She was just, you know, trying to get them out of there, you know, but I want to see her do some more lightning or some fire or something like that. I definitely hope we get to see more spells and magic from Yennefer in the future. Also, I gotta say with Yennefer, it is surprising to see her so much later in her storyline because, you know, the last time we saw her, she just had this transformation and became beautiful. I'm hoping, because this Witcher storyline jumps around all over the place, I'm hoping they'll jump somewhere midway so we get to see some of Yennefer's initial experiences being this court mage advisor person, you know? Like, that could be interesting. And lastly, for Ciri's storyline, I gotta say her part in this episode was probably the least interesting. She enters some place called the Brokilon Forest and meets some dryads.
Now only we remain. Dryads.
Thankfully, they don't kill her. There was one interesting scene that I enjoyed. That was the conversation in the forest between Ciri and Dara,
What's the matter?
where Dara comes to realize who Ciri really is and who Ciri's mom was. I mean, her grandmother. The queen, the one we just saw in this episode who's so terrible. And Dara's saying, like, your grandmother killed all my people, you know, the children, everyone was just slaughtered. And Ciri was in denial. She's like, no, she could never do that, you know? Somehow this dialogue, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well acted and well scripted. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but I just found it very well done. What about you? What did you think about that dialogue? Or was it kind of meh for you? You know what to do. You know what? Comment below and then smash like. And at the very end of the episode, we see Ciri drink this sap from some kind of magical tree. She has this hallucination or mind-traveling trip to some alternate dimension where there's an even bigger, more magical tree. And the tree asks, what are you? And I'm kind of thinking like, well, if this tree's so big and powerful, shouldn't it know? What's the deal with this tree anyway? And why is its first statement a question? So I guess from that, we're supposed to believe that Princess Ciri's really special, you know? I mean, if a gigantic magical tree doesn't know what she is, then I'm just gonna leave that sentence hanging. Anyway, that's all the time we have for this review, reaction, response, my thoughts about episode 4 of The Witcher. As always, I'd love to hear what you guys have to think, so don't be afraid to comment below. Don't be afraid to subscribe or destroy the like button. I feel like I've asked for it so much in this video, many of you are not gonna press the like button at all. Sorry. All right, anyways, I gotta go. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.
Yup.